2 plus 2 is 4, and so is 3 plus 1.
Yeah.
You don't need to follow, say, what your best friend did to, have amazing results if it's not working for you.
Good as Gold's the official Gold's Gym Australia podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Good as Gold's podcast. We are your hosts, Emily and Callum.
Yeah, today we have a solid episode. We have Samantha Smith, nutritionist, transformation coach, PT, and all-round
Weapon.
Wonderful soul.
Yes. I'm very excited to have her on. I'm excited specifically to chat about nutrition because don't you think there is just so much around nutrition that it's overwhelming.
It is very overwhelming.
So I'm excited to knuckle down and just ask her some questions that I think a lot of people are thinking.
What's like a common myth of the most nutrient-dense food? You know how like acai, for ages, everyone was like, oh my gosh, it's a superfood. Like, what is a superfood? You don't even know.
Yeah, well, that's exactly
What do you reckon
right.
the most wholesome food is?
You're actually asking me?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'd like to know your answer first because you've obviously got one.
Almonds.
Really?
Yeah, fiber, vitamins, fats.
Wow, well that's really interesting.
No, I don't. There's actually, because it's just all, it's really dependent on what you need.
Well, that's exactly right.
And that's what we're about to find out.
Let's find out. Welcome in, Sam. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast this afternoon. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. And how are you both?
We're doing really well.
Yeah.
We are.
8 out of 10. 8 out of 10.
Wow, what would make you a 10 out of 10?
Right now?
Yeah.
A zinger stacker.
Ooh, okay. Well, we are just about to talk all things nutrition, which we are really excited for this chat, Sam. So give us a little rundown of kind of who you are. Give the listeners some context as to who we're speaking to.
Absolutely. Well, my name's Samantha. I'm Canadian. I'm from Nova Scotia, Canada. Originally, I've been in Australia for 3 years. Right now, I am in ACT. I'm a nutrition specialist, a personal trainer, and I manage the Gold's Gym in Trick here. So health, fitness, wellness is what I do day to day. I've been living it since I was 16.
She's a jack of all trades.
Living and breathing from 16, early age.
Yeah, all I know.
Love that. And did you want to be into that, like health and fitness, personal training? Was that like what grabbed you at 16, or what were you feeling prior?
Yeah, I always loved fitness. I was athletic when I was younger. I didn't know that it was going to be my career path for the rest of my life, getting into it, but I loved it. I fell in love with it. I tried to change out of it, and I just kept going back to it.
Couldn't get rid of it.
No, it just kept progressing. I started, like I said, in PT, and then I noticed that food was the number one thing that went with personal training. So, I mean, everyone can learn how to exercise, you can feel better, but really it was the nutrition side for me that I saw the most results and most transformations with clients, making not just on the outside, but also on the inside as well.
Yeah. So
that's what made me go more into specializing in nutrition and adding it on to clients with training and so forth.
It is so important.
Yeah,
Nutrition, the nutritional component, is so massive. And, do you believe that the whole, you can't out-train a poor diet? Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
It is funny though, because you see all those, things on Instagram now and influencers, and they're like, try this. Like, I have lemon water every day and I've maintained being super. And it's just kind of just be honest. Just tell the people that they can't eat anything under the sun. And be, not even fit, just
exactly.
be healthy.
Yeah, well, I guess speaking of healthy, Sam, what does healthy mean to you?
Oh, well, to me, honestly, it means a lifestyle. So healthy and lifestyle, I believe, go hand in hand.
Love
so
that.
Healthy, happy. So inside, outside, the whole 360 really. It's not just one thing or the other. I think that you can be really fit but not healthy. I think you can look really fit but not be healthy. You know what I mean? So it can go both ways. And nutrition definitely, I believe, plays the number one role in being healthy inside and out.
So you would say that, nutrition definitely matters, but to people, if you were trying to, I guess, aid someone, if they wanted to come along and they didn't know anything about nutrition to food. You know, they just thought like, I eat this food
Yeah.
because my mum gave me cereal when I was a kid. It's important, right? So like, how would you explain that to someone in the most layman terms? Like,
Yeah, because don't you think too, like, that is actually bang on, Cal. Your mum and your grandparents and like your grandparents' grandparents and parents or whatever, they like had this idea of like, you know, meat and veg on the table
Yeah.
and you will eat all of your dinner that I've
like
dished up.
sandwiches at lunchtime with jam and Vegemite and like cheese and
Yeah.
shit, and like you just eat that. You're like, that must have been pretty healthy because I had so much energy as a kid. But then as you get older,
Yeah,
that
do you
shit
find
doesn't
that you
fly.
have those kind of problems that arise for you? Like, do your clients kind of come to you like, I've got no idea what's going on?
Yeah, those people are the best clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I call them the blank slates. Yeah, absolutely, because
So
they're
good.
really open to learning something different. Because obviously they're looking for a change if they're coming to a professional for help, right?
Yeah.
So usually, most of the time, I do outside of a clinical position is because these are my clients coming to you, just like your clients are coming to you for help. They're not being forced to you.
Yeah.
So most of the time they're really open to learning or just seeing what you have to, your views or stuff like that. I'm massive on hands-on learning when it comes to clients. So there's not a lot of talk, I would say, as in I don't go pull out a textbook and give them to them and go, here, read this about carbohydrate. This is, and all the hormone function and, so forth and so forth. More so it's the hands-on training and hands-on learning with nutrition so they understand how it can fit into their lifestyle better. So if they like cereal, for instance, or they're used to meat and veg, what we do is we use that because that's what they have been eating for so long.
Yeah.
And we just try to alter it so it fits them better with their goals, right? So I don't try to recreate everything or recreate the wheel for them. But what I do is try to how to adapt these healthier lifestyle principles into their already routine and ways.
Yeah, I love that because again, it's like goes to like there's no one diet rules the world. You know, it's not like keto is king and like this is king. It's like we'll call it like adherence almost, right? Like something that you can adhere to or you're familiar with instead of you just flipping someone's diet. You like I think that's sick that you find what they're used to and just sort of supplementing bits and pieces in there.
What do you find is the most common thing, Sam, that like people kind of come to you with, like the most common misconception, let's call it?
Okay, well, there's lots.
I bet.
A really common one is someone will come to me and go, Samantha, I'm stuck on losing the last, say, 5 kilos or 10 kilos. I've cut out all sugar. The word all sugar, okay?
Oh, yeah.
That to me is a really common misconception. I look at them and I go, okay, sure. And I go through, just a food journal with them. What have you been eating?
Yeah.
And there is so much sugar that is actually in their diet
That
that apparently it was cut out of that we found together. So, I mean, a lot of people think that there's no sugar in fruit or there's no sugar in, say, like any type of carbohydrate product. They don't realize that it's the same thing. Carbohydrates are sugars, right?
Yeah.
So when they say they cut out sugars, they're just talking about more so refined sugars like Coca-Cola or, stuff like the ice cream.
Yeah, like the obvious
but
ones.
they're not looking at what sugar is. Yeah.
Do you know what? I was climbing up a local mountain here where we are, and this was when I was, I think, 18, and I I had cut out sugar for the week, like exactly what you're saying here, Sam. I'm like, right, cutting out sugar for the week, like I'm gonna feel amazing, and I felt horrific. Anyway, I went up this mountain, and how's that I passed out on the mountain. I smashed my head on a rock, and oh my God, it was severe. And then from there, I was like, all right, I need to educate myself. Like, this can't be good for me.
No, and then another thing too with that is like, so you have a lot of media now portraying carbohydrates as bad, but before fat was bad.
Yeah.
Everything there's always a point that something is bad, right? So that's another really common misconception is, well, fat makes you fat, or it's just carbohydrates that make you gain weight as well. Yeah. So really those things, it's just really the basics of nutrition that there's a lot of common misconceptions to answer your question. It's just the basics, honestly.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, oh, you go.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, just when I do educate my clients, I really do, or even publicly when I do seminars and lectures, it's just really getting the basics across. So what is a calorie? A lot of people can't even answer that. what is carbohydrates? What is this? What is that? A lot of people don't actually even know. And that we use this terminology all day.
Yeah, I feel like let's get into it. Like, can you explain a little bit about, I guess, calories and macronutrients? Like, obviously we are educated in it, but for those who are listening who are wanting to get a little bit more education around it, can you give us a little insight on what calories and macros actually are?
Yeah, well, let's start from calories. So calorie is basically, it's a unit of measurement, right? We use it to measure energy that we get from our food, and we also use it as a measurement of our output as well. So say something is worth 50 calories when we eat it. When you're on the treadmill for, say, 6 minutes and you're burning 50 calories, that's your output. But those 50 calories are going in or going out, right? So it's just basically a unit of measurement that we use to gauge energy. Now, with macronutrients, so the word macro means large, right?
Okay,
cool.
Love it.
Nutrients is nutrients, so large nutrients.
Love
so
that.
Macronutrients. Right. So we also have micronutrients too, but we won't talk about that much today. But micro means small. So yeah, small.
Teeny tiny.
So yeah, yeah.
So we're talking like vitamins and all of that stuff in the micronutrients, right?
Sorry.
Talking like about vitamins and all that stuff that isn't the
Vitamins, minerals. Yeah. So macro means big. So those are the nutrients that we need in bigger quantities, right? So you have your main macronutrients, which are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Now, fats, we know that that's used for hormone production, insulation, nerve endings, and stuff like that. That's what it's for. It's very vital for the body, and fat doesn't make you fat. Just per gram, it is worth a little bit more in calories than the other nutrients. You have carbohydrates, so that's your big macronutrient that a lot of people talk about. That is the main responsibility for those is energy production.
Yeah.
So carbohydrates, energy. And when I say the word carbohydrates, I also want you to know that it also means sugar. So sugar, carbohydrates, energy, they all kind of go back and forth when we discuss it. And then we have protein. We all know that protein is basically the building blocks for a muscle. Keep us upright.
Buzz.
Growing.
Oh my gosh, you should see Callum flexing everyone in the background. He's got his guns out.
Yeah, look out. Make some room. Make some room.
But yeah, so basically per gram of carbohydrates, per gram of protein, you have 4 calories per gram. Per gram of fat, you have 9. So they're a little bit more what we call calorie dense. So that means you don't have to have as many, but you get a lot more calories for that value.
Yeah.
So I mean, take a handful of almonds, 10 almonds, right? Those are worth about, 5 grams of fat-ish, around that. And about 50 calories. But if you took bags of spinach, you could have a stack about this high, even more, of spinach, not even for 50 calories. It's a lot less dense.
Yeah.
That's just your nutrient dense. And volume dense.
Love that.
I think that's where people kind of do go wrong as such when they are kind of planning out their own, let's say, diet or their nutritional plan, right? Where like they're not really understanding that because like back in the day, right, the thing was that a handful of almonds were good for you. Like nuts are good for you in quotation marks.
Classic triangle.
Exactly.
Right.
And so
Pyramid.
you're
and
like
how many
exactly
is the problem. Yeah.
Because ultimately,
So
at the end of the day, it's right. Food is fuel. And if you're having too much fuel and you're not enough output, then you're going to put on weight ultimately.
And that's the basic science of it. And I feel like it's been overcomplicated so much. I mean,
Totally.
Of course, professional athletes, bodybuilders, someone looking at that nitpickiness, of course, they have to look a little bit further, right?
Yeah.
But for everyone else outside of that bracket, and that's a lot of lifestyle clients that you'll see it, like just every day, day to day, people trying to gain weight, trying to lose weight. It's the same principles, but it really comes down to calories in versus calories out. Everyone's going to be different though. So for instance, my daily calories to say, make me gain weight might be someone else's just maintenance, or it could make them actually lose weight.
Yeah.
You have to look at that individual, not just male versus female, and what they do. There's a lot more to it, which is very important for the individual to know for themselves. But like you said, though, it is the basics. It's calories in, calories out, just knowing what works for you and what your numbers are depending on your goal.
Yeah. And would you say like I mean, this is a very big question, but for someone who's just to start and say they hear this and they're like, all right, I think I might go start a new diet. They could download MyFitnessPal or whatever, but should they go see a nutritionist first, or should they even go see a healthcare professional because they don't know if they've got
where to start,
or Hashimoto's or something like that? It's huge.
Where does someone just a Gen Popper start?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it just depends where they are. So if they haven't had health problems or concerns before, you could probably start seeking out a nutritionist, nutrition specialist, go that route. If you have had, say, diseases, or you had medical problems in the past, I would definitely start with maybe a healthcare just to get a blood work done, see where you are, where your starting point is. A lot of people I would say the general population can get away with skipping that step most of the time, but definitely starting off on the right foot, not just going on to Google and Googling weight loss plan.
I've actually been there before.
I've done that so many times.
And so for anyone listening out there that is embarrassed or ashamed, that if you are at that point right now, it's nothing to be ashamed about, because we've all been there.
Exactly. And that's probably one of the worst things you can do, in my opinion, is just Google a cookie cutter. Not because it doesn't work. No, absolutely. Because it definitely can help you. I mean, a lot of those type of plans will clean up all of the crap food, right? So it cuts out your ice cream, your snacking. It is very controlled in a different sense. So of course you may see results, absolutely, for the first, month or so, let's say, if you follow it. But the problem is it's for you, and you didn't really learn anything for you, right? So what happens with that is when you stop doing it, it's not a routine just because it wasn't based on, for you. If you don't like eggs and now you're eating eggs 3 times a day, you're not going to keep eating eggs afterwards, right? So that's where, and you didn't really learn anything from doing it. Yes, it helped you maybe start, kick you off towards your goal and what you want. But really, because it's not been tailored for you, I find that those things are a little bit harder, to really learn from. Where if you were able to, and you had access to a online nutritionist or in person, is to really start off definitely on that foot, just because you learn correctly the first time, instead of always revisiting it and yoing back and forth.
I think that's super important.
Absolutely.
And like you said, everyone's so different that even if you go onto someone's thing and it's eat 1,500 calories, for 1,500 calories is almost, I would say, maintenance. But for me, that would be such a severe, I eat 3,300
You're
calories.
Actually wrong.
That's a huge cut for me.
My maintenance is up around 2,000, but
really?
Don't you think that? And I hate talking about numbers, because people will be I know, and people will be if I was to say, oh, my cut calories are 1,600, let's say.
You're so lucky that you cut carbs.
Or even
you're gonna get skinny.
Or even the fact that people will be well, I need to be on 1,600 because I need to look like Emily. And then it creates this horrible situation.
Oh, I agree with you. So when I first started really looking into nutrition with clients after I graduated about 6 years ago, I only used to actually give set meal plans to start. Set meal plans based on the client's foods that they actually liked and enjoyed eating. So not just a cookie cutter. The reason why was because with numbers, it's almost too overwhelming. And then people get stuck and tied up in those numbers. And it's oh, but my friend gets to eat 3,200 calories and she's, she has an 8-pack, right?
Exactly.
But for me, if I ate 3,200 calories, I'd be gaining 10 kilos almost off the bat.
Let's go.
So completely different. And getting tied up with numbers for some people, it's not what they need. So to be healthy is a lifestyle. They don't have to constantly count numbers and become obsessed. So I wanted to use a hands-on approach to show them without doing that at first. But then of course allow them to learn the education with numbers, which is fine. But once they develop that good routine already. So that's
the best part about educating yourself on nutrition is that you can eventually get to a point where you don't always have to weigh your food and you don't always have to track. You've educated, you've done the hard yards. Yes, it probably was shit weighing your food or figuring out how much 40 grams of rice is or whatever. And then now you can kind of free pour and be okay with it. Do you find that there's a lot of people out there that have this emotional attachment that either A, they have to track all the time, otherwise they're not going to get, like, they're going to blow out.
Yeah.
Or do you get that?
I do all the time, yeah. But that's why we try to avoid it so they don't have that angst,
Yeah.
right? So we know that when they're working strict towards the goal, yes, you know what, weighing and measuring your food, just eating in, say, a structure to get them into that routine, that's temporary, absolutely. But what they're going to learn as a lifestyle, so what they're going to habitually do from now on is take what they've learned from there and carry it through, right? So it is temporary, say, weighing and measuring when you're set on a goal, but you know that that's because you're focused on that goal, right? But if we're now happy and we're in maintenance phase, we don't need to be as strict, but we're still going to learn we're going to take what you've learned and move through.
Yeah. So Sam, on that note, what are, I guess, the ways that you either yourself adhere to, nutrition, but also you tell your clients that are important? So like, what's the effect of sleep in the diet and hydration? And all
I
that
guess
other
to be
stuff?
healthy.
Yeah.
Because like nutrition is huge, right, Sam? But I'm sure you would like talk to your clients about overall health. And that's what we're so invested in. So this will be cool to hear.
Yeah. Like just like their overall well-being. So really, once again, it's so individual. I cannot stress that enough. And that's what I really stress to them too. So, I mean, some people don't need 10 hours of sleep a night. Some people don't, it really depends. Usually off of basics. So just going by general rule, I usually say, at least your 7 hours of sleep a night. That gets you through, 7 to 8 hours is usually enough for people. It's a lot more than what they're usually even starting out with. Now water, once again, depends on their output and what they do. So if they're a tradie all day and they're working, they need a lot more say water intake. And athletes, same thing. Your normal day to day, I'd say at least try to getting at least 2 liters of plain water into you. If you can try to do that, and whatever else you're intaking on top of that, that's more than enough. It's a lot more than what people even usually are drinking a day anyway. Usually they're not even drinking a cup of water. But if an easy rule, and if they're nowhere near even that that area of numbers, start off easy with them, set goals small. So half, like 1 cup of water, 4 cups of water. Just start small. So I guess like the answer to that question is just trying to be having a healthy lifestyle for your clients, or like getting them to be healthy. I guess that to be healthy is just basically improving themselves in whatever way they are. So that's why it's such a hard question. That's why nutrition training is it's a really hard.
Totally. It's like relative to the human.
Really hard answer, just because it's so individual. So I mean, like a goal, I haven't been drinking a lot of water lately during lockdown, would be to try to get at least 2 liters, start at the basics, try to get back to my 2 liters of water a day. But for you could already be drinking that, more the better. I mean, don't go overboard. Once again, moderation as well. The lifestyle approach, moderation, those are really the things that I really preach to my clients for success, short-term and long-term, is just living it as a lifestyle. And anything in moderation is usually okay. I mean, if you're on a strict meal plan, saying trying to lose weight, having a piece of cake because it's your anniversary, it's okay. Like that's absolutely fine.
Preach that, sister. Preach that.
That's okay. But once again, though, you do have to keep in mind your goals, right?
That's right.
So we can't have that one piece of cake turn into every night that now turned into KFC for lunch. Do you see the snowball effect, right?
I see that.
Did you like how you threw that in there for you?
That was awesome.
That's a personal attack.
No, she said it's fine. You can have one, but no zinger stackers like every night.
I mean, you might pop one tire, but there's no point popping all four of them.
Baby. I want to know, Sam, and again, it could be pretty, like, I guess, personal, I guess it's relative to the individual, but if you have low energy, right, what would be some tips to boosting that energy up?
One of them, making sure that you're actually getting enough sleep at night. We confuse we really do. Our bodies do not know what we need in terms of how to get energy. So usually that's why we crave carbohydrates sometimes late at night. I would say, is because your body is tired. It wants energy. It knows that carbohydrates give you energy, but really it just needs to sleep.
So in that
That's-
point, should we just go to bed? Like when we are having those cravings, is it like, all right, Emily, this is
It's
bedtime?
usually because you're tired.
Yeah.
Honestly. It's usually because your body needs now, I need to rest and get energy, but just not from the source of, say, food, right? So that's my number one. Number two, if you're finding you're tired during the day, so the midday crash that you're like, oh God, I'm exhausted, is maybe to have smaller meals. And pairing them with protein as well. So just make sure that your carbohydrates are paired with protein so they're more sustainable. Choosing complex carbohydrates, obviously, over simple carbohydrates, so you don't spike your blood sugar and it's not like, whoa, and then have a crash afterwards.
What are some complex carbs?
Sorry?
What are some complex carbs?
Yeah, complex carbs. So sweet potato, vegetables, oatmeals, basically a lot of carbohydrates that are just found in nature. So they're slower. So basically the difference between, for all the watchers, if you don't know, you have two types of carbohydrates. You have a simple and complex. A simple is basically a simple sugar. So think of it as chains. So the paper chains you make when you're a child, and you can rip them apart, with glue, and it's like really long. So think of that as a simple carbohydrate. So they're chains of sugars that are really small. When you eat them, they can break apart really quick, right? Those chains, they just rip apart. And basically, those are the sugars that can be absorbed really quickly into your bloodstream for immediate energy, right? But now with complex carbohydrates, think of now this big mess, okay? So now it's just a chain of mess. When we intake them, our body takes a lot longer to those sugar take a long time to be absorbed now into your bloodstream because it's longer to break down. They can't just break apart as easily as the simple carbohydrates. So what happens there is your blood sugar levels aren't spiked, right? So that means they're not going to crash as hard. They're going to give you a sustainable amount of energy, more on like a curve like this, a smaller, no peaking, so you don't crash.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
so
crashes are hard.
Yeah. I know like there's days definitely where I know that I'm eating my regular, having my rice and my oatmeal and stuff. And then the days that I might go train deadlifts, and just before I have like a couple of Pop-Tarts and I'm just like, all right, let's go. I definitely
have that crash.
I know for a fact that I'm like, well, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. And caffeine does help. I mean, to a point though, because then you don't want to crash off.
How much is too much caffeine?
Oh, that's such an individual
shit.
question.
I was hoping you could give me something good.
I know some people can't tolerate hardly any. I find a lot just through experience that a lot of people that have anxiety or they're really anxious already, anxiety is not good, or anxiety. Caffeine's not good for them at all because it really heightens it, right? So sometimes they can't even handle half of a coffee. But then I have, like myself, for instance, I can drink caffeine
till the cows come home.
Way too much. That's one thing that I would say personally I do have to work on myself. But I mean, my intake can be very high, 400 milligrams a day, 500. So that would be equivalent to 5-6 cups of coffee a day. I could easily drink and sleep.
It is funny though, isn't it? Because like any health like specifically PTs or anyone that is kind of in that like health realm are like, do you want another coffee? I'm on my 5th coffee or whatever. And like, it's so funny because, we are over here like normally practicing what we preach, but with caffeine, I'm the exact same as you, Sam. So, like you are the same.
Yeah, I definitely try to limit caffeine, but like I still manipulate, like I use it to like, get energy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But then once again, it comes down to your lifestyle and your goals. Everyone's like, oh, I want to cut coffee. I want to cut caffeine. But it's like, why? Is it having adverse effects on you? If it is, absolutely. Let's look into it. But if it's not, then why are we now, you know what I mean? That's not going to be your lifestyle moving forward. If I said, hey, take away all the caffeine, no more.
Exactly.
Forever. Unless it's something temporarily, like let's get things back on track. Of course, there's times and places for all of those things, don't get me wrong. But I'm not a Nazi to be like, no, caffeine's terrible, right? And that's the whole approach I really use with nutrition and fitness, is really that what works for you, what is moderation, right? Of course, we can have too much caffeine, absolutely. There is an upper limit, absolutely, that we should not be hitting. However, once again, having none in someone's lifestyle, like all of ours would be not right.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
Do you notice though that like this whole time Sam hasn't once said like you must go high protein, low carb, you must go high carb, low protein, you must go keto, you must go vegan, vegetarian. And I love that so much, Sam, that you are like, do you know what? We're going to make it work with the individual. And I think anyone listening, specifically, you know, my clients, when they come in to start with me, they're like, I'm doing this certain regime and I'm like, okay, but do you want to? And is that sustainable for you?
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah.
And
so like, yeah, keep going. Sorry.
well, it's just like, it's actually just amazing that you know, it's refreshing to see a dietitian and nutritionist be able to be like, you know what, we're going to work with whatever works for you.
Especially like a professional. Like it's not like your influencer friend that you've seen to be like, I'm doing this and it worked for me. That's really cool, but...
Well, I think, and that's the hardest part when you are so influenced by everyone online.
Yeah.
And that's what, you know, honestly, when we were talking about the definitions of words and stuff like that. So the word diet is one that I really go over. So if you look up in the dictionary the word diet, it actually has two different definitions. One of them is what a human or animal habitually eats, right? And then the second one is actually it's basically what someone would eat to lose weight temporarily or for medical conditions. So our society is so conformed to using the word diet as the number 2 definition, so a temporary, right? Where I want everyone to use the word diet of actually what you eat and what you're taking. So and not making it temporary, right? So when someone says, "What diet are you on?" Well, no, I'm not on a diet, but this is what I'm eating. Do you know what I mean?
It's just like your
there's
lifestyle.
no specific.
Yeah, and just like what you said, talking about keto and low cal or low carb, this and that, and there's a million things. You know what? It's not. They all work to an extent, and they all work for the right people. You know, that if it works for them. Now, it's up to them if they want to continue doing that after they get to their goal using that program, or, you know, I guess, view of food, or we can call temporary diet. But the thing is that it does work. And if it does work for them, that's fantastic. So keto is something that does work for a lot of people temporarily. I've seen more short-term than long-term. However, what it did do, if that's where you started, is it really helped you clean up your nutrition. You got rid of a lot of the crap that you can't eat when you're on keto. You feel good about yourself and so forth, right? So it's not something that's bad. However, long-term effects of it, of course, then that's a whole nother story. But I mean, it's just like you said, though, it's just so individual that you can't. Yeah, there's 2 + 2 is 4, and so is 3 + 1. And that's one thing that you always have. I always preach to anyone in this type of industry is to keep that in mind when they are working with clients. Is that exact expression? I say it probably about 4 times a day.
I love it.
People get so sick of it, but it's so true. And if you just keep that in the back of your mind, even when you apply it to yourself, is 2 + 2 is 4, and so is 3 + 1. You don't need to follow, say, what your best friend did to, you know, have amazing results. If it's not working for you, it's okay if it's not, you know. If you want to take a different approach, it's okay, you know. That's
I want to jump into a juicy question.
Oh, I'm interested.
I know Emily loves a good mojito, and I love a good old Friday.
It is Friday.
It is a Friday, and I love a good beer. Now let's just quickly summarize. Like, you can still have alcohol in your diet to an extent.
Absolutely. So once again, we're not talking about a professional athlete, right? With, you know, we're talking about our lifestyle. So of course, right, again, time and place and time, depending on who it is. And then we go to moderation. Anything in moderation, I still think is okay. However, say if you're a weight loss client, I'm just using weight loss just because it's a general pop. That's
definitely.
I would say it's 80% of everyone's goals, you know, at some point anyway. So say that you are having a what do you guys call them here? A hen's night? A
yes.
Yeah. So of course, go and enjoy yourself. Stag party. Yes, exactly.
Let's go.
That's what they're called in Canada.
Yeah.
I have that one for you.
And a bachelorette. So basically, absolutely, go have your fun, drink, eat, whatever you want to do. Cool. But then we just go back to normal, you know, when the weekend's over. Someone like just having a casual drink, that's fine. once a week, hey, let's go out for, say, a drink. If your goal is, say, weight loss, I would definitely try to steer you towards a non-sugary type of drink.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe not like the massive
like a bucket.
slushy
Yeah.
drink.
Damn it! No strawberry, like frozen mojito or something.
Yeah,
Just in moderation, Emily. No.
In the States, they have Fat Tuesdays. Have you ever seen them? The like Fat Tuesdays,
I have.
and it's like this big, massive slushy cup. That's
Like,
as big as
Just sugar.
Even in Vegas, when I was over in Vegas, they have those huge ones. You have a lanyard, like you're carrying this huge ginormous, and you can also like put in, triple shots. It's
that's called
sickening.
Fat Tuesdays.
Okay, all right.
Fat Tuesdays. So yeah. So basically, of course, that's not what I'm saying. Yes, absolutely, go drink those if you're trying to, say, lose weight as your goal. Being social, having a drink,
Yeah, it's
having
normal.
once a week.
Exactly.
Fine. You know what? That's okay. But when it becomes, once again, more than moderation, and it's working against your goals, then no.
Yeah.
Trying to choose obviously less sugary drinks would be my number one,
Tip.
go-to. So that's like your vodka, soda water, vodka, soda water, splash of cranberry juice. Just lighter type of choices.
Just a drizzle of lime, please.
Alcohol still has calories, though. That's the only other thing. So it does.
Yeah.
It's not free calories just because there's no macronutrient in it. There is still calories that we have to make sure we are counting if that's something that you're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
I think, and that's it. People put so much pressure and like they hate themselves, let's say the next day or Monday or Tuesday. And I think you have to remember like exactly what you're saying here, Sam. Whatever your goal is, like let's say your goal is weight loss. Well, have your night out, have your, your drinks with your girls and whatever. But then Monday comes around, you get your sorry butt into that gym and you get, you maybe you meal prep or you get organized for your week. But that's where I think everyone kind of goes wrong. Like they'll have their night out on the Saturday night, let's say. Sunday, they're hungover, which is, again, kind of fine.
KFC zinger stacker.
Exactly. But then on the Monday, then we're rolling into like a shitty habit again because we're like, we can't get ourselves back into it. So I like weirdly have a tip, Sam, which is like, this is like how control freak I actually am. If I'm going to have a night out or a couple of drinks with friends, I try and like make sure that like I have everything organized. Like my washing is done. My clients are ready to rumble by Monday. I make sure that I'm so organized in doing that. And it like helps me feel better when drinking.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the other thing too, it's not even necessarily usually the drinking of the alcohol that people go wrong. It's actually the food choices that they make either during that time, after that time, or leading over. So realistically, in the run of the night, maybe you might only drink, say 500 calories of alcohol. That's still a lot. But just say that's maximum. Say 600. I don't care. But then what happens is on your way home, you're getting an Uber to go through the McDonald's.
Yeah,
we
know that.
Calories there, before you go to bed. So and then you wake up hungover the next morning and you go do it again. So realistically, it actually wasn't the 600 calories that I care about. It's
it's the follow on. It's the lead on.
During and after.
Yeah, and I guess that's the best. Like that, you've bloody hit the nail on the head there, girl, because that is it. Like we're in a society, right? The people that are listening here right now, they like a drink.
They're normal people.
Exactly. It's a lifestyle here.
Yeah,
so
absolutely, lifestyle. And once I said, if it's not affecting our goals, fine. Once it starts affecting your goals, then we have to talk about it, right? Then, it becomes more. And then, of course, once again, like we keep going back to, it's your goal. So at the time, if my goal is, say, weight loss, I do kind of have to be more picky and choosy of what I'm doing, right? But if my goal is, say, maybe just maintain, then I'm a little bit less, I'm a little bit looser in that way.
You're good. I feel like you're I think I might need you in my life.
And like you're so relatable.
Understanding.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than just being like, you know what, you should feel like shit because you went out on the weekend.
Exactly.
No, you're a real human. Just you did it. Yeah.
But then where does the long-term results come from,
being
that way? And that's the number one for me. So I've worked with clients losing anywhere from like weight loss clients to losing 2 kilos that feel amazing to losing over 7. I'm trying to think of kilos because we use pounds. So I always look like I'm trying to do the conversion in my head. So I've had clients lose over 70 kilos as well with me. But my real win, though, personally, is that they're able to keep it off long term.
Yeah, totally.
So it's not just get it off it's off. Who cares what happens? I had a client actually message me. It's been 3 years and he lost over, I think it was like about, I would work out, I'm trying to go pounds to kilos again. It was 100 pounds. So that's about what, 45 kilos?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 45 kilos, 3 years later, still gone.
Yeah, right.
You know, so that's the win for me.
What you're saying is like over 3 years.
Yeah.
Isn't that like the magic? Is like, it's not this quick, fast, like,
Yo-yo thing,
exactly, like quick, diet down quickly. You've got, you know, like, yeah, you go, Sam.
Yeah, like he lost it in about a year's time, year and a half, I can't quite remember, but keeping it off 3 years later as well. So using a lifestyle approach, a lot of times people do think that they go, oh, it's too slow, or, you know, I want results.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Lifestyle approach doesn't mean that there's no results though. My results are just as fast as someone else's, but what happens is they're able to maintain it further. Right? So that's the big win is, yes, we can, lifestyle approach doesn't have to be necessarily slow. Some people it's a little slower because say you are drinking a little bit more, or you are being a bit more social, that's fine, but that's your choice.
But
right?
I think you need to really understand that, like going into your, you know, like I'm sure you do this, Sam, but what we talk to our clients about a lot is like what does your week look like? What does your weekends look like? Like every weekend I love going out. Okay, well just know that your progress is going to take a little bit longer than the person that isn't drinking. Like it's just a fact.
And it comes down to even just like, you know, if you're a builder, you're probably going to burn more calories than the guy who's sitting at
an
UE
office.
all
Yeah,
day.
exactly.
And like you got to cater just lifestyle to that.
And that's and that's the thing too. And then body types as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know the basics. We forget the basics, but here they are again coming back up. We have an ectomorph, a mesomorph, an endomorph. I'm very endomorphic, so I don't need a lot of calories to eat. I can output a lot. So just for everyone listening, an endomorph is someone that's so think of it like an American football player. They're very big. They actually don't need a lot of calories.
So pretty much me.
To sustain being big. They're naturally that size, right?
Yeah.
And they don't need a lot of food either. They really don't. They hold on to almost everything that they put in.
Yeah.
That's their body type. They can also output a lot. I mean, I constantly walk at least 12,000 to 15,000 steps easily in a day. And my intake does not have to be very high. I teach as well. I train. But someone that's very ectomorphic, you know, will need about triple the amount of food that I do a day to just maintain. Right? Because they naturally, their bodies don't hold the food the same way. So it's harder for them to build muscle and to say store fat, where a endomorph is the opposite end. So looking at their body types, I mean, we see now on Instagram that there's a lot of influencers that sit in front of a stack of their pancakes, and it's like, if your coach is starving you if they're not feeding you 3,600 calories a day or something like that. And because they have 12 abs, it works for them because their body type is very ectomorphic.
Exactly.
If I ate that or gave that to or if we gave that to our, say, lifestyle clients, they absolutely can eat that. But what's happening is they're getting disappointed seeing those type of things in the media.
So much misinformation about
you know,
it.
they're like, why can't I do this? But realistically, it's because their body type isn't the same. And we forget so much about that.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's about time for some audience questions. What do you think about that?
I'm 100% down.
We've put the call out, and we've got some questions that the listeners want to know from you, Sam.
Wow, perfect.
Well, number one is, when it comes to meal prep, should I weigh my food pre-cooked or once it's cooked?
Oh, well, that just depends on what your coach, trainer, or nutrition specialist has done their numbers in. So basically, some people like to weigh the nutrition facts before cooked. Some people do it after cooked. It just depends what, I guess, what scale that you're trying to match it to. You can find nutritional value for cooked and uncooked most products. I usually do cooked, honestly. So cooked meats versus raw meats.
Right.
Yeah. It's an easier way sometimes, but once again, the difference is so small, is not that big for your lifestyle clients.
I'm a raw dogger.
So
God, don't say that, Callum. But yes, we both weigh our food raw.
You do yours raw,
yeah.
But see, for a lot of lifestyle clients, I always found weighing it cooked would be a little bit easier, especially if they're trying to do a family's dinner
Totally.
as well, right?
Big respect.
Well,
So
that,
once again,
actually,
I
that's
said,
like
so
that's awesome.
individual.
Yeah. That's really cool that you said
There's
that,
so many
Sam.
options, though. You know what I mean? Like it's not like impossible. People are like, no, it's just too hard. It's like,
It's too
no, you literally got so many options. To
Yeah,
choose.
and like that's it. If anyone comes up with an excuse,
Yeah.
you're like, bang, I can help you. Bang,
Buy
I can.
a roast chicken from
Right.
IGA, buy a roast chicken from Coles, weigh the bastard, and
Yeah.
then eat it. And you don't need to weigh it raw.
So like, and does it really, like, that little bit of difference between the moisture that's lost between cooked and non-cooked, for a lot of people, it doesn't make that big of a difference.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're making a family stir fry, could you imagine trying to weigh
Oh,
section
it's
off
impossible.
your
I'd
little,
count the carrots.
Count the 1,
Yeah.
2. That's enough.
like, and it raw, not cooked? Like,
Yeah,
it would
it's
just be
hard.
a disaster. So some things, though, like rice, I do raw, just because
Yeah.
the water absorption is a little bit different. You could cook it with more water than I do, and so
Yeah,
forth.
yeah.
But most of the time, I would say, like, meats and such, cooked weight for my clients, grains more so, raw weight. Yeah.
Yeah. Top 3 things you should have in your trolley.
In your trolley.
Yeah, like
Shopping cart.
Yeah, shopping. Sorry.
Yes, shopping cart.
Like food wise.
Yeah.
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 And you can
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm not even
Like-
gonna put limits on
Yeah,
it.
whatever you want.
Okay, like you walk into
You
the
know what
shop.
I feel like? Yeah, I feel like just asking you what you want to eat.
Yeah.
Okay, what's in your trolley? Like, are we talking fruit, veg, canned? Are you talking bags of all these chips?
Yeah, where we are.
You
Are we?
say on the outside of the shopping center, like
Yeah, the outside. So yeah, absolutely. Fruits, vegetables, yeah, anything basically that you can find in nature would be my number one go-to.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's the easiest rule of thumb. So can you find it in nature?
yeah,
Yeah, start there. Because all your meat products are on the outside. You have your more whole grains and so forth also on the outside, fruits and veg.
yeah,
And then everything in the middle. Canned goods is not the worst thing either. Just depending, of course, what's added into them. Of course, you can find bad canned goods, but I mean, canned tuna found in spring water, nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
I get the backlash of a lot of that type of food could have high in sodium, but I mean, if you're not eating takeaway processed food, you're not eating nowhere near too much sodium.
Yeah,
So you can use the salt shaker as much as you want on all your food. Go to town with it. You will never eat as much as what you'll find in a processed, say, burger and French fries, right?
Yeah.
So that's no stress.
Yeah, cool. What is one myth that you want to debunk on here today?
Oh. Wow.
Well, how much time we got?
Yeah. Where do we start?
Be
guys?
as savage.
yeah,
I want
go
you to be
hard, like-
savage and fast. Just like ballpoint. Just be like, keto's bullshit. No, but don't actually say that.
Well, there's so many. There's literally so many. Sugar and fat don't make you fat.
That's good.
Literally.
Yeah, I
I'll
love
take
it.
it, yeah.
I love it.
That's my number one.
Oh, sign.
No,
Yeah.
totally.
Number one.
I like
It
that.
applies to everything and so
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You
Prepare
just-
yourself,
Oh, God, my brain
girlfriend.
doesn't work this
You
fast.
can't think. It's rapid fire. It's just you can't think.
You just
have to
gotta say.
Say, and I'm gonna lead you off. If you could do one exercise for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Squats.
Oh, I like
Why
it.
did I say that?
I like it. No, you're speaking from the heart, girl.
That's all you can do now.
Yes.
This is my bad ADHD coming out of my
What is your least favorite tasting food that you eat purely for the health benefits?
purely for the health benefits? Oh, maybe I don't know.
I feel like it's broccoli.
Oh yeah.
I love broccoli, actually. I can't really say that.
I
Just
don't
to
know.
get your fiber
No,
up.
you-
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't really eat anything just for the health benefits.
Good on you. I love
can
that.
probably
I love this
A
gal.
fruit that I don't like is olives, but it's not because I eat olives for a health benefit.
Yeah.
But I will eat them,
Yeah.
but I don't
Yeah.
love them.
Okay.
That's yeah.
So that leads into the next question. If you were stuck on an island, what would be your number one food source? Obviously olives.
You can have what you can have whatever you want.
If I was stuck on an island, what would my number one be?
Yeah.
What are you eating every day
One
on
food
the island?
Every day.
Food every day. Well, I go through food obsessions, so if anyone knows me, I become obsessed with a food and I don't stop eating it for about 3 months.
What is it at the moment?
Right now, I'm obsessed with a type of Graham cereal mixed with frozen strawberries and almond milk. I eat it about 3 times a day.
Okay.
It's
So cereal.
Yeah, that's
Cereal
honestly
right now. We're on a
stunning.
cereal kick.
I love. Well, who is the most inspiring person in fitness right now to you?
Oh,
Who
well,
who
that's
you
a hard
vibing?
one. Pardon?
Who are you vibing?
Well, honestly, one of basically the person who got me into fitness, her name's Jody Livingston, and her and I actually used to be really good friends. She used to coach me as well. She's back in Canada. I still follow her now, so she still trains clients. She used to compete in bikini and figure and fitness.
Yep.
But yeah, so she's probably still one of my number one inspiration. I still follow her. She's done a different outlook on her coaching, so not just prep coaching anymore, more so into the health and wellness area.
So good.
I know she was studying to be an osteopath as well. So really looking into that. So that really inspires me, not just
Like whole
say
health.
the typical
Yeah.
fitness inspo, right?
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
I love that.
Who is the best person to work out with and why? No, just who is the best person to work out with, I reckon.
He's retracted.
Myself alone.
Yes.
I love working out by myself, honestly. Not just, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love having a good training session with some friends.
Yeah.
My best workouts for myself are definitely by myself or with my trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love.
So I would say, yeah. So you know what? The answer to your question would be my trainer, number one, and then by myself.
Yeah, cool.
That's really cool. All right. Well, the last question is worst piece of gym equipment invented. Here we go.
The ab cruncher, I think.
Ab cruncher.
Yes. Those ones that are selling like on.
This
yeah.
one?
Yeah. It's just like you can get a 6-pack.
Yes. Love that.
I think that is my number one. That definitely is my number one.
The other one that I like get a little bit stressed about is that like shake, the shake one.
Oh, that's like
and they're like, tone your arms. So I'm like, oh God.
Yeah,
Shake
that's
weights,
right.
yeah.
The shake
those
weights.
ones, yeah.
Oh my God. Oh,
Come on, demo. Yeah.
we got a live demo.
You can find that in like any op shop ever.
Oh God.
Oh God. Yeah.
Sam, what a little treat
Yeah,
this was.
thank you so much for joining us. I feel as though I learned some good stuff that I could implement, and I feel as though the listeners as well will definitely take on some of those tips.
Where can everyone find you, Sam? If they want to come work with you, where do we find you?
Yeah, absolutely. My Instagram is Samantha with 2 A's on the end of Samantha, Ling, Ling. Find me there. You can see anything just from my personal day-to-day life to my client transformations, some of them.
Beautiful.
Well, that's exciting. What's next for Sam?
I am going to go for a run, I think.
Oh,
Yes!
Time to get my cardiovascular. Well, we're in lockdown, right? So
Yeah.
we're very limited at the moment. So why not work on my cardiovascular health?
Just working on
You
my
might as well.
fitness. Yeah, that is so
Have
good.
to. It's one thing that I've been neglecting for so long. So
So
Definitely.
cool.
Beautiful.
Well, keep it up, girl.
Yeah, enjoy your run. Get those steps up. Get those past
Thank you.
12,000. And yeah,
Talk
thank
soon.
you
Talk
so
soon.
much for
Definitely.
having me, guys. This was
We could chat
so
forever.
much fun.
Oh, honestly, we can chat for days, Sam. You'll be
absolutely.
back.
yeah, definitely. All right, we'll call you back.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Bye.
All right, see you soon. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, guys, thanks so much for listening in. If you enjoyed that, I was about to say nutritional podcast. I guess it was nutritional for
kinda was.
for the soul, for the brain.
Yeah.
Then please like, subscribe, rate, get amongst it. We'd
Yeah.
love to do more of that.
Your reviews actually do mean so much. It keeps the potty going strong.
Keeps it going. Takeaway from that whole nutritional side of things.
Look, there was actually so much. I just loved the fact of how real Sam was and is when approaching her clients.
Yeah.
Like, she was explaining that she, if you were someone who eats Wheat Bix every single day,
Yeah.
then she would try and factor in that you can still have your Wheat Bix
Yeah.
to some degree.
I did enjoy that. She's not
I
going
love
to yeet
that.
it out of your cupboard and just be like,
You
naughty boy.
gone.
Yeah, I think
Exactly.
that's a terrible way. It's almost like positive reinforcement in a way. It's like, no, what you're doing isn't bad. You're just doing too much of it
Yeah.
for your body's output, or maybe, increasing output. It's so good. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it
I'm
too.
going to go back and have a listen. Maybe change some ways in my life,
Yeah, agreed. I think everyone can take something from this.
I need to up my water so bad. I'm quite
Parched.
parched right now. Yep.
Okay, we're going to go drink some water.
Okay.